This is the Venture Capital Fast Lane. I am your host, Ryan Eltz, managing partner of Roadster Capital. In the Venture Capital Fast Lane, we will talk about all things fast in venture capital and everything that surrounds it. If it's fast, we're going to talk about it. Growth, exits, funding, cars, rockets, data, software, and much more. We are in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution. So buckle up. This is the Venture Capital Fast Lane. Well, okay, everybody, welcome to the Venture Capital Fast Lane. Today, we're going to be speaking with Merritt Thatcher. Merritt is the co-founder and CEO of Argyle, which is a software company that streamlines construction tasks with data-rich AR while enabling powerful, efficient, and cost-saving approaches to quality control walks, punch lists, and progress tracking. So I'm really pleased to have Merritt here on the show. Merritt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you here. I remember the first time that we met, a mutual friend of ours, Genevieve Lemarchelle, who's now in San Diego area.
Mhm.
We met you on a job site to get a demo of Argyle on HoloLens and the building that was being built,
Yes.
some multifamily over in the Southwest waterfront in Portland, Oregon. And I think the concrete on the building was still drying.
Yeah, that was so long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
I
long
remember
time.
that too. That was really fun. That was one of the first demos we got to do for VC. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I like all things construction, having worked in the industry in some capacity in the past. And I just had such a great time meeting you that afternoon and getting the walkthrough and seeing how Argyle aligned holograms and how it was able to evaluate layouts while spotting locations of things like a shear wall. So I was impressed, and it was a very immersive experience. And hopefully you can have the opportunity here to tell us all a bit more about it.
Well, yeah. So since that time of the demo, we've been building the product to actually be something that you can open up Revit, which is that program that they're using to design the buildings and to create the details for the construction. Uh, from that time, we've got it so it's just one click. They click in their 3D view, and the entire model is ready in one of these headsets, or coming soon on iPads, iOS devices.
Oh,
That's been the big push, is getting it from something that we can plan ahead, we can do a demo, to something that's really repeatable, usable, and something that they can always access on site.
well, what was that aha moment that led to the founding of Argyle, and why did you decide to launch with HoloLens versus another solution for AR?
Sure. Well, HoloLens was the only game around back when we started this. 2019 is when we officially incorporated. But the aha moment was when Anderson Construction, who was also in charge of building that building you visited,
That's right.
uh, they create very robust uh, Revit models of their concrete work. And what was happening is, even though they're creating really detailed pre-planning, there's still mistakes happening in the field. And they said, we've seen this HoloLens thing around, we've seen this AR thing around. Why can't we take these models and put them on the job site and look at them? And back in 2017 or 2018, 2019, we said, you can, but it's going to be these really pretty laborious setups every time. So what if we were to make this into an application? And they thought that was a great idea. We thought that was a great idea. So we pivoted fully from doing XR studio work for different architecture firms. We did some work for Katera. uh,
Oh, you did?
they, yeah, we did. We did a virtual showroom for them. I guess it didn't show well enough, but I won't take the full blame on that. So we had this studio, and when the opportunity came about to make a product that really is going to make this huge impact on the actual site, that grabbed our attention, and we went full in on that problem as of mid 2019. And so that's when Argyle began.
Yeah, and it's really great that you were able to I guess use Anderson as a catalyst to some of your early growth, right?
And absolutely. So what they provided was like a living laboratory for us where we could go test their projects, test their job sites, get to know their people. Um, you know, walk on the job site, people go, "What is that?" And I can put the headset on them. That is so valuable, and I got to do that during that development process. So we could build toward these actual functional use cases, these actual projects, the actual Revit models instead of whatever theory we thought before coming in.
Right. Yeah. So being able to build in real time for projects that were ongoing is far more, I guess, far more valuable to you in the immediate development phase, but also in the long run because you're building exactly what a target customer needs in
Yes.
there rather than just build, like you said, building in the lab on a hope and a prayer, right?
It was really satisfying. So one of the guys at Anderson, we'd done a project with really early on. He's gone all over. So he's been on different projects. We got to show him the version of the app today. And he was just like, "It's like you took my whole wish list and you made it." And I was like, "We literally took your wish list and we made it." So it was just so freaking satisfying to have that done.
Wow, how awesome. So let's see here. Your co-founder and CTO is Logan Smith, and he has always been, well, for quite some time anyways, immersed in all things AR. And at last check, his LinkedIn learning course had over 250,000 views, which is
That's right.
crazy, right? So that is definitely worth checking out if you haven't checked it out already to our listeners. And it's called Revit AR and VR workflows. Can you talk to me about what makes that class great and how Logan is planning to make it even more valuable with you're telling me you have an update coming?
Yeah. Well, when the class was recorded, Argyle didn't exist, and now Argyle does exist. So the Revit to VR workflows class is really so many folks in the industry have seen XR and are wondering, how do I apply this for my firm? And this class really takes you through the nuts and bolts of open up your Revit file and do these things, and you can come out with some kind of XR experience. When we recorded the class, we didn't have Argyle. Now we have Argyle. So essentially, some good advertising for us coming, as well as helping them onboard, which is really nice.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching that. So will everyone be able to search for that on LinkedIn or
Yes.
where would it be found?
Yes, it'll be searchable on LinkedIn, and Logan's going to make it free for a while so
Oh,
that everyone can check it out.
free. Come and get it.
Yay!
All right, so Argyle has a Revit add-in, which you've kind of alluded to a little bit. And the word on the street is that it is so smooth. People are asking questions around what makes it work. So, what does the workflow look like for a project engineer or a BIM team member who needs to update models that reflect changes on a job site?
So their process is model as usual. They don't need to make changes to the model. They simply need to pick a 3D view, which is something they have in their selection, and that's the view that gets sent to the headset. It includes the metadata, it includes the geometry, it includes everything that they need so that when they're on the site, they can run with it. Um, from their end, it really is just grabbing what view they want and pushing that button. But what's happening on the back end is we're converting that really heavy, sometimes a gigabyte model into megabyte sized files. And it's happening with a Chronos standard GLTF, which is like the JPEG for 3D. But the JPEG for 3D, GLTF doesn't know how to deal with BIM. So Argyle, we built a BIM extension on the GLTF, and now that's how we are able to take a huge model and put it on a tiny headset in a few minutes. Yeah, the word on the street. I did talk about how I need to improve my user feedback. We had a small model get imported, and we're really used to big models that might take a minute to upload. But this small model was just for commercial tenant improvement, a small building. And it took less than a second to upload, and it just gave him the message like, "It's uploaded." And he's like, "Hey, I think something's wrong." And I was like, yeah, no, your model's just very small, and the compressed version is even smaller."
Yeah, I think that's one thing that everyone always wants to know is how fast is it? How long does it take to load anything up? And
Yeah.
you're talking about things that are quite complicated to most, but it's quite refreshing to hear that it can be compressed in such a way that it causes the user to question whether or not it actually worked because the pop-up comes so quick.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're used to Revit, you know it is not fast, but we were able to take uh, the outputs it provides and make it fast, make it simple.
Well, all right. So for the desktop version of our Argyle, that uses a secure Azure cloud backend. So you also have some magic sauce called Rissa. Am I saying that
Oh,
right?
Riza, yeah.
Rissa. Okay. So Risa. So and you were just issued a patent. Is that correct?
Yes, just issued our patent for that. So RISA stands for Resilient Interdependent Spatial Alignment. And this really is, I mean, the real thing, the key to our business, our sustainable competitive advantage is getting those models aligned to the job site is just so tricky. So if your listeners or you can think of, if you ever pulled up the IKEA app, you can put a chair in your room and try out that chair. This is the difference between putting a chair in your house and putting your house in your house. So if that chair is like boop, misaligned a little bit, nobody cares because it's a chair. But if that happens to your building, it's very, very, well, I mean, it's bad. It's unhelpful in terms of looking at it in an augmented reality sense. So our alignment keeps big environments like buildings aligned, sticky, so that the holograms that are associated with the location appear, and none of the holograms that are not associated with the location will not appear.
So what would you see in your HoloLens or on the iOS when something just didn't populate correctly? Would it be a flashing red
Hmm.
mark, or how would that?
I mean, I nothing. I guess there are errors, I'll say, but that's not one. When you walk through the space, items will load based on your location. And I will say, so one of the things we have to tune is how fast is that load time as you walk?
Oh,
You know,
sure.
what's the balance between the performance of the device and the stability of these holograms? So that's one of those things we're smoothing out. But as far as if it's in your 3D view, all of the data will be there to populate in
Okay,
that.
that's really good. So, yeah, I remember one thing about having the lens on is for a first time wearer of it, you're you start really looking at what's in the lens rather than what's on the ground. So, in construction, we always worry about job safety and safety first. But given that you're not completely blocked in, it's not like you're wearing a full shield across your entire face. You have the ability to see beyond those digital models that are essentially floating in the sky right in front of you. And that's really nice. That makes it easy for you to get around the job site.
Well, we even took it a next step. We decided that the traditional ways of rendering these models actually made it opaque. So if you had a column in front of your face, I couldn't see past you through that column. We thought in the case of construction, you want to see. So we have edge rendering. So instead of the column rendering flat, it just renders on the edge. And so you can see through, which is nice because when you're trying to check if something is there or is not there, it's annoying to have an opaque hologram in your way. And it's much nicer to have a wireframe hologram directing you.
Right. Okay. So speaking of those new changes, you recently launched an iOS beta on Argyle, and I haven't seen it yet, but in an investor letter, you mentioned that it was as fast as a Ferrari. And of course, in the venture
Oh
capital
my
fast
goodness.
lane, we like to hear about fast. So how does it work on iOS, and what type of early feedback are you receiving?
Sure. It's the same app as on the HoloLens. And so I have been in a HoloLens for 2 years. It's getting to be an old device. And so when I picked up instead of, I mean, look at this, its entire compute pack is here. When I picked up this and got Argyle working on any level on this, things that I was used to just, taking a little minute to load were just there. The hologram clarity is just bold and vivid. It is a whole new world. I'm so excited for Apple to come out with glasses. I will not hold my breath, but it is really nice. And it's on alpha. It's not quite on beta. It's getting there. We need we need some more testing on the 3D interaction. So if you can imagine when you're in a HoloLens view, when I want to click something, I just reach out and touch it. It's pretty natural. When I'm here and I want to click that same thing, it's a little more challenging. So this phase has been about smoothing out the 2D, 3D interaction, 2D, 3D interaction.
Are you aware of anyone else in the broader market working on AR VR that's attempting to do something similar to this with the iOS?
Oh, sure. I think this is I mean, we're not the first people who are thinking, let's put 3D models into space and look at them, and certainly not the first folks in construction or architecture. Um,
But to do it as a
to
but
do it on the iOS level, I've seen people doing it, but it is with limited success, and that is part of the reason why I am focusing on making it act more like an Apple app, right?
okay.
When you take something that was built for this old Microsoft machine and you have a device where people are used to like playing Angry Birds, I got to get this thing really, really smooth, um, to the point where I can offer it as an app that's downloadable in the App Store. That's my goal with the Apple app, not just to make it HoloLens Part 2, a window to the world, but really to make it the thing that anybody can buy.
Yeah. Well, that's
Anybody in
you
this
have that
area.
roadmap in front of you for something as innovative and user friendly as that, to where you can just pull it out of your back pocket.
That's the goal.
Right. So let's see. I'm thinking about construction and how complicated it is right now. There are so many
Yeah.
permits and ongoing changes in design that need to be in compliance with building codes. You guys must be just overwhelmed with requests as it relates to that. So what does your GTM strategy look like? Who are your target customers? How do you keep them coming back? And what's your typical sales cycle?
I mean, well, that's a lot of questions in one, Ryan. Um,
Take
I'm
your
gonna go with
time.
start with typical sales cycle right now uh, is we've got leads that are coming from all over. We have a new, you're gonna laugh, it's a TikTok account, but we've got 240 some thousand views on one of my AR things. And I started saying, I'm not going to argue with TikTok anymore. So I get leads in my inbox. I set up a call with them. I mean, really basic discovery process, learning what their concerns are on the site. And then if it fits, we get them a demo, and then we get them a trial, and then we get them aligned on their site. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel on that part of it. It's really just pretty average sales stuff. Um, what was more of your questions in that one question?
Oh, well, yeah, just kind of talking about how are you targeting customers, or how do you keep those that you have currently coming back? I mean, you take
Yeah.
like maybe just speak to us about a great customer success story.
Okay, I'll do that. Um, okay, so in Lake Oswego, there's a new customer for us, O'Brien Construction or O'Brien Constructors, one
Lake
of those.
Oswego,
O'Brien,
Oregon, right? Lake Oswego, Oregon.
Lake Oswego, Oregon, and they do a lot of work in wineries and breweries. And uh, when I first took it out to them, they were building their new office, and so they're just like, "Well, why don't we just test it on our new office?" Uh, it was a tenant improvement. This is the one where he said, "Hey, I don't know if it's working because it was too fast."
Okay.
So we took their model out there to this new office. This is going to be their new space that they're moving into. So suddenly we get the entire crowd of O'Brien folks in checking out. Oh, we really gonna have the furniture layout like this? Because I thought it was gonna be over here. And I think this conference room is gonna be too small. Now that I see it in AR, it's just gonna be too small. We should make that change. So you're right. Yes, change is constant. And then change that the owner directs is one of these things. We thought our app would be used late in construction for quality assurance, but we're finding it's actually early in construction as well. When owners are trying to understand and make decisions about their buildings, this helps empower them to do so and to make better decisions that generally the contractors are much more happy with.
Yeah, because it's not always easy for most people to see something and actually visualize it. Like they can't take the the drawing that's in front of them and visualize that inside their mind.
Oh, they're terrible at it. Yeah, it's a real problem. And I will say this as a person who also struggles to read plans. It is something that kept me out of the industry. Now I could have done the hard work to learn to how to read plans. Instead, I decided let's just make a software that makes this a little bit easier for the
Right.
long route.
Right. Wow. All right. So side note here. I'm always interested. Do you have a favorite movie, character, or quote?
Oh, there's so many.
Do you like sci-fi or no?
I love sci-fi. I love sci-fi. I grew up on a steady diet of Star Trek. It it was not a small part in the formation of this company simply because I was just like, well, duh, people are going to make things someday, and I guess I'll do it. I'm trying to think of like my favorite. It really is Star Trek Discovery right now for me. I love the character Michael Burnham. Um, she's a woman who just she kicks so much ass, and she's so flawed, and she's learning leadership, and she's learning how to balance her emotions and logic. And I do identify with her and with that particular conundrum of balancing your thoughts and your logic. She was raised by the Vulcans, you understand.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, I always like some good Star Trek. There's no doubt about it. I'm here on the internet looking around to see if I can find any quotes of hers.
Michael Burnham quotes.
Yeah.
I have one on, I don't actually even know if it's a real quote on my refrigerator, but I have a Michael Burnham magnet, and it's like choose your course, stay it, focus. And I really like that. It's something like staying the course and focusing, which
Okay.
is very important in startup land when you want to be dragged every which way.
Stay the course. That is something to live by, and I you have definitely been doing that with your team at Argyle, staying the course. And you are one of the few and rapidly growing women founders, and that's something that we need more of. And we're really pleased to have you doing what you're doing and changing the outlook of construction uh, for for a long time to come.
Yeah. Well, we're sticking around, staying the course.
So Logan Smith is joining us here briefly in the podcast, and he's going to help Merritt walk us through a demo.
Yeah, I'll just hop in the headset and get it set up.
Do you want to start with the Revit, or are you still trying to get set up?
Oh, I could do that.
All right. I mean, it really does all start with the Revit person, the VDC. If they're not sending us content, if they're not happy with us, we don't really get far in a project. So we really had to make this piece smooth. This is our building.
Yeah, I reckon.
You know this?
Yep, this building that we're looking at here is in one of the most peculiar spaces in all of Portland. I mean, there's no way you can park here. How do you guys park in this location? Can you take us through
Secrets.
Secrets?
We will never tell our secrets.
Oh my God.
It's actually spitting distance from
beautiful building, but my God, is it in a peculiar place?
It is. It is. It's really it's spitting distance from the Autodesk building, the new one.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, it's called the Fair Hair Dumbbell, and it is zany as can be. It's got all these crazy windows. But it starts out, you're here in your Revit, and when you want to send your model, you just click upload model. So Logan's gonna do that. And you'll notice in this upload, we've messed a little bit with one of the windows. Logan, you want to show them that window? So
Yeah.
this new upload, we decided the owner wanted a design change. They decided they wanted this rectangular window. So we're going to update the project with that.
Okay.
So you click export, and during this process, it is converting all of these files into into an AR ready format, that GLTF with the BIM extension. And you can see these are just a couple kilobytes because it is such a small model. Click upload there. And there we go.
Oh, that is quick. Okay, even though
Yeah,
it's a smaller file, it is still incredibly fast.
Mhm.
That's the new extension that you've been working on. Is that correct?
correct. Yeah.
Wow.
And a nice part about this as well is it can create checklists. Logan, I know you're doing something, but would you show us checklists?
Yeah, I was just about to turn on the TI link. But here, I'll grab a few things here and then filter down to, say, just the doors.
So you might have an intern, you might say, hey, go check and make sure all the fire protection is on these doors. And like the question would be then what doors, where am I going? Which embeds am I going to confirm are there? This makes the things you're highlighting here in Revit appear as buttons in space on their correct location. So it's very, very useful.
And you can send that individual out to the job site with Argyle on head, and they can walk floor by floor and check specifically doors
Yep.
in real time, right?
Yep.
And then will they be able to communicate back to the person in the office and say something's not here, and then they could flag it or turn it a different color so that when they walk the next time they know to double check something? Or
Yes, both of those things. So it does turn color. If it failed, like you can click pass or fail for
Switch
now.
out.
Yeah, Logan will jump in and show.
okay,
But it also will produce a CSV file of, what the element was, what was the name of the task, and down to each one of these windows has their own unique ID. So it'll tell you what ID was marked versus, the window directly to its left.
got it. So what we're watching now here is Logan has put on the headset and he's walking us through this demo on this headset. And this is sci-fi at its best. I'm glad you're in here right now, Logan. This is getting awesome.
So one of the important things is obviously we have internet today, but most job sites don't. Like a good deal of job sites have no internet at all. We needed to get the entire model on that headset and make it work without having any connection. We do have connection today so that he can broadcast, but you do not need to have that when you show up on site.
Wow. Yeah, this is a great system to look at. And here we go. Okay. So now we're walking around the site, essentially.
Yep. So when you arrive, the thing that happens is it just appears automatically. The default categories that show are going to be floors and some walls, but you can turn on here. Logan, you got a little slow internet.
Yeah, that's moving nice.
These are the different categories that he's able to turn on and off. In our own office, this is a little more bare, but in a hospital, you can turn on all of the different links. He just turned on the tenant improvement link. And you can see where this office share has decided to bump out its buildings and walls. Hey, Logan, your latency is bad. Can you go just a smidgen slower?
Mm-hmm.
And there's our rectangle window. Look at that bad rectangle window. So now that I do see that rectangle window on site, I, as the owner, say, you know what? I don't know if I need to get that clever or creative. Maybe we can just make that one a square after all.
Okay.
So one of the cool things that you can do from here is analyze the metadata that's coming through. So Logan, are you stuck to this area?
Not really.
Go find us some metadata. See about that toilet.
All right. So Logan is walking through the office, going into a restroom and looking for some metadata in the bathroom. God,
that's where I keep the metadata.
I can't believe we're looking for metadata in the bathroom and the toilet of all places. My God. It looked clean. I don't think you have a problem in there.
So what happens is we will do we'll show up to site thinking we're going to look for one thing, but just because we have the whole model, it's really easy for us to identify all kinds of different problems. We can say, I see you have a sink that is about to go in here, but you don't have the blocking for that sink. Is that something you'd like? And they're just like, yeah, you're right. It's pretty fun.
Okay. Wow, this is fantastic.
Okay, and then Logan just pulled up, I think, a checklist.
Yeah, let me pick one that has something close to us. There.
So this is a checklist that he sent earlier. So he highlighted the elements that he wanted his site inspector to go inspect. And now they appear in these green or red. He failed that one earlier, so it's green. But you can also see that 24 by 24 window and all of its properties that come through in Revit. That's really nice if you have a lot of part numbers. So if you've got like a big run of mechanical and there's different part numbers, you can see exactly what part goes where.
Wow, this is fantastic. So everyone who's listening to the podcast, you have to search for the Venture Capital Fast Lane or VC Fast Lane on YouTube and make sure that you get a chance to see this in action on the channel. It'll be the same podcast, but you'll have a little bit of video to go along with it. It'll be fun.
And this is basically what we do. When we show the demo is turn on a few checklists, turn on a few different categories, and push in that model. So it goes in fast, it loads up pretty fast, and you're able to interact with it once you're there.
Well, I have to say, some to those investors out there that are listening or that you come to meet along the way, I think in the words of Beyonce,
oh,
back it up.
Love it. Love that new album so much.
These guys are going to do great. So I think everyone needs to take a close, hard look at Argyle in beautiful Portland, Oregon, and reach out to Merritt Thatcher and ask her what they're up to and how you can be a part of this journey. So I want to ask you real quick before we get out of here. What do you think of when going fast? It does not have to be a car. Both of you are more than welcome to chime in.
Logan, what do you think of when going fast? I think of my brain ending and in my brain not going fast as soon as I'm asked a question about fast.
I think of
it sounds about accurate right now. There's just so much going on, Merritt. It's okay. It's not.
I'm going too fast to think about going fast.
There's a term that's not coming to me because I'm hearing the echo in my ears. Flow state.
I like that.
And that's probably what I think of. Like when you're playing Beat Saber on expert mode and part of your brain turns off and you just move. That's what I've always associated with really moving fast.
Cool. I think that's a pretty good one. Flow state. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us, everybody. Thank you so much for spending time with us here in the Venture Capital Fast Lane. It's been a lot of fun, and we look forward to talking to everyone here pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.